Welcome back to the Casting Cross cEDH podcast. I'm Blake.
I'm Chase, and today we're breaking down the top 16 decks from Mortal Kraumbat 1.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, so today we are looking at the top 16 from this past weekend's event, hosted by CriticalEDH.
Yes, Logan actually reached out to us and asked if we would want to cover the event, and we were really, really excited because we wanted to talk about the event, but we didn't want to obviously do it without. We figured they would cover it, but once he reached out, I was like, "Oh heck yeah!" Because there's some really cool lists in this top 16.
Oh yeah, that's some pretty spicy picks, but I think it was really cool what they were trying to do. They got so this past weekend they got 122 players, and they actually hosted this at a Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
So like I really like that they did that because like it almost reminds me of whenever like Too Deep and Blight Club were doing like the Only Flubs tournament, and they were hosting it at the top of a pub and things like that. I like that we're starting to see some of these events, but
Yeah.
from what the feedback that we've seen kind of in their Discord, and I think even watching this, like you were watching the stream quite a bit, I think there was a lot of positive feedback. So congrats to these guys for hosting this event and going well. And we hope to see some more, and maybe one day we'll actually like go to go to this.
No,
so
we're
that'd
gonna
be awesome.
Well, it was funny because the whole time Eric's sitting there doing like commentary as best he can because it's obviously getting late in the night, and he's just sitting there just casually drinking a beer and talking about Magic, and I was like, "That's the life right there, bro."
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right,
we'll dive into our top 16.
Okay, so in 16th place, we have Tyler Lindblad with a 2-win, 3-loss, and 1-draw record on Arkham Dagson.
Oh, yeah. Dude, so I found out about Arkham because of Fizzle. Like, he's played this deck before, and so whenever I saw the list, I was like, dude, this would be so fun to throw together. But I was very hesitant just because Stacks is kind of tough, but this list is just so badass.
So did you actually get to see, like, some of this stuff played out? Like, so...
I did get to see Arkham was actually it was on one of the streams whenever I was watching, so I did get to see it play. It's a Stacks deck, so like I don't think the actual pod that I got to watch it in, it didn't really get to do too much as far as like what I was seeing there, but clearly like it did really well in a lot of other games.
Okay. So what are we kind of looking at as far as the win lines? Because this is one that I'm not too familiar with, especially not playing a whole lot of like mono-colored decks.
Yeah, with Arkham, so it's kind of weird. Arkham, you're trying to basically find ways to like double up on some of your Arkham triggers, especially like I said, whenever I was talking to Fizzle and stuff. So you're running a ton of artifacts, lots of ways to again like double up the triggers, and then basically just finding ways to draw a ton of cards while also slowing down your opponents, taking lots of like trying to generate lots of mana, trying to eventually get to a point where you're creating a situation where you're kind of burning your opponents out with like staffs and other things like that.
Okay.
But you're basically just using the Arkham ability to constantly like take advantage of some of those stacks pieces, slowing your opponents down, and then on your turn using it is like turning it into something that's like a value engine, trying to put multiple triggers of that, copying it with like the things like Rings of Bright Hearth and other abilities, and you're just wanting to get as many Arkham triggers as possible. Ideally, you want to start resolving like potentially, like you want to start doubling your triggers, but like as early as possible to really take advantage of his ability.
To me, it almost like sounds like a blue version of Magda.
Yeah, no,
it really is what
it
kind of feels like here. Like as you're going through and describing that stuff, I think that's pretty cool. I also like scrolling through this with you. Like whenever I'm looking in the enchantments, I like that I'm seeing like the copy artifact, the mirror maid, the steel enchantment. Like it seems like even like things like Kennen and some of these other decks are really starting to make this shift here, where it's just like, hey, let's really make sure we're like doubling down on our value engines and things like that. We've discussed multiple times that just seems kind of the direction of the format at the moment, is like just trying to resolve Ristic Studies and then draw enough cards to just win on top of someone else's win.
Oh yeah.
And so having the ability to do that with a lot of like just like the, like you were talking about, the stacks pieces that are on there through your artifacts, and then being able to like when you need to remove your own stacks pieces, you can, it looks like, through the Arkham stuff and
Yeah.
kind of be able to pop off there. Obviously, most of your instances is just going to be like just control pieces and so on. So it's a cool list.
Yeah, it's really cool too. So you get access to, like we were just talking about, like I forgot about this card until I started going through the list and looking at it, the encroaching mycosynth, but it just allows you to turn, it turns Arkham itself into
an artifact.
Yeah. So then it allows you to like start basically like doing untapped shenanigans and then like getting even more of his like search abilities and things like that. So it's just really, really, really funny. The list is super cool. I told Fizzle that I was actually going to print this list off one day and like just proxy it out, see if I even liked it. And I haven't done it, but after seeing this, that might be the sign that I need to like play it. I feel like we have so much stacks already running around the meta, like in our own like local meta.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to do that. I can't contribute to the problem.
Oh my god! But no, that's cool. See a mono blue list that's not like, we've talked about Urza quite a bit on the channel and things like that. It's kind of cool seeing him pop up here. So congratulations to Tyler on 16th place.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Do you want to redo that last part?
No.
Okay.
All right. So in 15th place, I'm going to assume this is how it's pronounced, but Stagio Clegg, I think that's how we pronounce this name.
It is now.
Correct us if we're wrong. I'm sorry. But with a record of 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw, this player is on Kaidel, Chosen of Krufix, and Tevish Zot, Doom of Fools.
This is a very interesting like pairing. This is super cool.
Yeah, and especially since we forgot to read through the Arkham Daxon list, let's kind of read what Kaidel does, because this is something that you don't often see in cEDH. But for 4, you have this 2/3 human wizard that you could tap, add colorless mana to your mana pool for each card you've drawn this turn, and it has partner. And then we have the Tevish Zot, which is a planeswalker in the command zone. And there's a lot of abilities there that if you want to take the time to read it, you can.
But it basically allows you to make thralls and then sack them to draw cards.
Yeah, it's kind of another value engine in the command zone, but a lot of people just get worried that like, oh, you're gonna ult it and then steal all their shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Kaidel one is really interesting pick, because typically you would see Thrasios in that spot. So let's kind of look through this list and see what's different that they're trying to do here.
Yeah. It looks like they've still got access to like infinite mana shenanigans, like the Devoted Druid, Hazels. They're running Thrasios in the 99, which is really, really cool. They are on both the Drakes, which is interesting. I actually just cut the Drakes.
Yeah.
But so it's cool that they're playing the Drakes. It makes sense too, because with other people playing Thrasios a lot in their command zone, they're probably finding ways to like basically steal the Thrasios and then use it for their own like value piece, or potentially making infinite mana and then just popping off that way. They're on Hoarding Broodlord, which I thought was really cool. Fairy Mastermind probably is like a win condition. Thassa's. They're on Doomsday.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at here. Like some interesting things for a Sultai pile. Like you pointed out the Thassa's, Thrasios being in the 99. The Broodlord with no saw in half, I think. Is there a saw in half?
There is a saw.
Okay, there is a saw.
It's hiding different art.
It's hiding in the different art. Okay, cool. So I mean that makes sense there. The Devoted Druid lines, that's pretty clear on it. But whenever I typically see the Dread return, I'm thinking like Hermit Druid type things, and we're not seeing that in the creature package here. So I think that's a little bit interesting. But it could just be like, if you needed to like somehow flash back some stuff, or like maybe even if you put some cards from the Doomsday, does it put the chosen cards on top of your... Does it put the rest of the cards in... No, it puts them in exile. So nothing really there going off of that. So I don't know. The Dread returns are very interesting, but I'm sure there's some lines there with it. Looking at some of the instances and the sorceries, I'm not seeing, unless again my eyesight's just going back, I'm not seeing like an Adnos.
No, it looks like they're on Pier instead, which is neat.
Yeah, they're just going straight into Pier, and so
they are on Trick Bind, which I've seen this popping up in like more and more lists.
Yeah, that's a card I've actually kind of been debating on here recently, even within like CISA, and I put it in canon at one point in time, just because I think that where people are trying to just win on top of everyone else and then like resolve a Thassa's,
Mhm.
like it is most definitely a gotcha card, and at worst case scenario, you're just pitching it to like a force of will or a force of negation.
Yeah.
Um, but it is definitely an interesting card, especially since we just got that new counter spell that got printed in the Final Fantasy, where it's the 1 blue, but it also has a stifle ability. This just makes it
Yeah.
to where you can't really counter it.
I'm probably gonna mispronounce this too, but I finally found the way you're supposed to say that, apparently, because it's like some French word.
Yeah,
It's like Louis Soir or something like that.
Louis Soir.
Louis Soir. Sacrifice.
That I'm not gonna ever pronounce it that way again.
I'll never play it.
I
so
will
I
fuck
won't.
it up. It's currently in my Sisei list, but
Is it really?
yeah, I put it back together and put that card in there, and I have not seen it pop up just yet, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the first time I ever read that, I was like, Lusix.
That's the Kentucky coming out at us. Louis.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it wouldn't even be Louis. It'd be like Lou-6, because that's how I pronounce Louisville.
Yeah.
It's not Louisville, it's Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah.
That is how it's pronounced. Louisville.
So, kind of looking at the artifacts though, like seeing Skull Clamp there in the 99, that makes sense because you're pairing that with the Tevish and getting more draws by killing your stuff.
It's a back-to-back list on staff, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that if you have a way of being able to, draw out your deck, that is definitely a interesting inclusion to have here. I do like that they're not on the Mox Amber and the Mox Opal here, just because their artifact count's so low.
Yes.
I think that and they're not really running too many legendaries in the 99. Plus, your commanders are like high CMC, so I think that makes sense to not run the Amber in this.
They are on Notion Thief. I totally skipped over that, which is funny.
Yeah, I skipped over it too because I think that we've had a really bad interaction with Notion Thief here recently, and I just choose to believe that card doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But but like it almost looks like it's trying to be more of like a Staxier kind of build because of stuff like that. I don't know. I could be wrong, but whenever I see like the Notion Thief, the Oppo, being able to see both Drakes in here, maybe utilizing those pieces as a way of controlling more of the board state.
I do think it's interesting. We're kind of seeing this a little more too, but people opting to play the High Fate Trickster over Valley Flood Caller, which is really interesting.
I think, if I'm looking down, let me kind of go back here at the sorceries. No, they're still on Finale. I think probably part of that is like if they're wanting to make sure they're resolving the Thassa's, at least have a flash enabler that you can actually cast creatures off of. I also think that that's interesting that they're not on the Valley, but that's the only thing I can kind of think of, because then like if you're only depending on the Valley, it looks like in this list in particular, like Finale and Nature's Rhythm allow you to get the Thassa's, right? I don't think there's much, like I'm not seeing like Court of Calling is there. So those 3 spells, one of which being an instant speed, like, or even the Dread Return, like you could utilize that with a Valley. But if you just have the Thassa's in hand and you have this, Valley Flood Caller out, you can't win on top of someone right there. So I think that kind of, I think that's a good fit there. Yeah. I'm trying to see what else we got here that's interesting, but
everything else seems pretty cool. I mean, I think everything looks cool. Their interaction package looks interesting. Yet another deck not on an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, I just think that's gonna be a common trend we start seeing.
Yeah, but I mean, this list is super sick. This is just cool. I think it's so cool, and I do like the inclusion of the Amphibian Downpour. I think that's neat. But yeah, just not opting to run the Mirror Maid. But I just think that I don't know. I think that lists are getting. I think that it's cool. We're starting to see more. Like we were already seeing diversity, and I told you I think that it's really cool where we're at in the format, but it's really awesome seeing even just stuff like that, like more diversity just popping up. It's just so cool. I don't know. I'm just enjoying it.
We didn't even talk about the Norse set there in the 99.
Oh yeah.
But again, I think that goes back into like the Staxy kind of package where like you're trying to deny your opponents the card draw and things like that. So that's pretty cool. All right, congratulations to Stasia on 15th place. All right, in 14th, we have Jason from CriticalEDH,
Yeah.
placing in the top 16 here. So in 14th, with a record of 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, we are on Blue Farm.
That Dragon Rage art is so sick.
Oh, the Secret Lair one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just so sick.
That one's probably my favorite right now.
Heck yeah. Yep. Just going through the list. I mean, yeah, Rockin' Delney in the 99, Voice of Victory, Granite Ball, Short Range Captain. So the silence effects look right. They're playing Bergie. They're playing the Fairy Mastermind, Mockingbird as their clone. On the Thassa package, Facebreaker. I mean, it looks like just a good Blue Farm creature package.
Like a good old Blue Farm creature package.
Yeah.
I do think with inclusions like the Voice of Victory and the Delney, I almost want to say we're starting to see a slight shift in Blue Farm to some extent. We've kind of seen this over the past couple of times where we've covered Blue Farm popping up in tournaments, where there is kind of this shift into more of a creature focus. But I think that part of that is just let's play these value creatures and not get stuck in a situation like how Rogsai can be at times, where it's if you don't get your stuff down or you just kind of fizzle, you can't really do anything at that point. So being able to utilize Delney here to kind of double up on your triggers, whether that be Lotho, Esper Sentinel, having Bergie there, whether you play the front or the backside, Professional Facebreaker to accrue more value and utilize your treasures you're either getting off of that or Smothering Tithe to be able to kind of continue digging through your deck at times. As many silence effects as you can play. So I know that you really appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's just a pretty solid Blue Farm list that we've come to know, love, hate, however you want to put it. I think the only thing that I kind of notice here, if you look at the instances, that seems a little bit different. Well, one, they're on an offer. I mean, it's still a good counterspell, but where we have started to see more of this trend here recently, where it seems like people are kind of off of that to not give your opponents additional value.
Yeah.
You can make the case one way or another. It's still a good card.
Yeah.
But also seeing Flare of Duplication.
That's interesting.
That here in the 99, but I mean, it could if we go back up and we look at the creature package between the Darcy, the Professional Facebreaker, Ragavan, if you had to sack Crom for some reason to it, you could potentially get a tutor off of someone.
Yeah.
And be able to set yourself up for a good position, or if you need to stop a win attempt, you're able to use it as an additional counter spell if you needed to. So it's a really flexible piece. I'd like that they're both on Intuition and Gifts Ungiven.
Yeah.
Here. So
yeah. I've noticed the snapback. Is that pretty common in Blue Farm lists? I feel I see them choose to run snap quite a bit, but not snap back.
I think that it's something that is starting to it's kind of come in and out, I think, at times. Now, I will say the card that kind of stands out to me personally is the Reign of Filth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is another one we've started to see more Blue Farm lists kind of pick up on, that if we are in that position where we can go a little bit faster, why not be able to pay a black, tap down our mana, sort our lands, float whatever color we need and start sacking them. So that way, if we know we're about to go off, or we know we have the win right there, we have additional ways to fuel the breach lines through just sacrificing all your lands and getting the additional mana and so on. So I think that is a good inclusion there, and really helps speed up the deck.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Other than that, I mean, it's like you said, everything else looks like a good Blue Farm list. It's just a cool list. I mean, it's like you said, it's what we've come to know as Blue Farm, but it's I think that the thing that makes this list so awesome is, dude, these enchantment arts are so bad.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I had to note that. Those are cool. But yeah, other than that, I mean, dude, congrats. Yeah.
All right. In 13th place, we have Zachary Adler with 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, and he is also on Blue Farm for this event.
Oh yeah. Back-to-back Blue Farms.
Yeah, so let's kind of go ahead and you you said like you want to compare the list real quick just to
Yeah.
kind of see.
I can already tell just to look by looking at the creatures. It looks like his list is not on Bergie.
Yeah.
But we will compare the two lists. Okay, there's 6 card difference. Okay. So let's look. We did not notice that Jason was on Forbidden Legend.
I did notice that he was on 27 lands. That is something I did kind of notice.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like usually you see a lot of like more 26 lands, but I think a lot of cEDH players have been kind of upping their land count more so here recently.
Well, it looks like he opted for Forbidden, and then the other opt was City of Traders, just as like their trade off as far as lands goes.
Gotcha.
Notably not on gifts. Choosing to run Floodmaw instead of Psych Rift. Adding in an extra talisman, which I don't think that's a bad option, really.
No, and if you're going to add a talisman, I think a blue form, that's the best one to add. Now, the Mox Amber is a little bit interesting on that, but maybe at the same time, like, they could be trying to focus more on, like, especially if they still have the Mox Opal included in this. It looks like they upped their artifact package to ensure that Mox Opal is going to be turned on.
Yeah.
Between looking at the talisman, the Mox Amber, and then Posture Mech that's right there.
And even potentially Mirror Maid copying an artifact.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of the Mirror Maid in the list. I've actually here really recently been toying around with my blue farm list to include Mirror Maid and Steel Enchantment.
Yeah.
And like be able to take advantage of like just the value engines and almost play like blue farm as like the double ristic shell.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Well, another thing too that I thought was interesting. So I was watching the like That's a Good Card podcast, and they talked about Mirror Maid, and it's actually really funny because they were talking about how this is a much easier piece to like be political with, where you may look at somebody and say, hey, like we're both going to have a Ristic Study so that we can shut down this turbo player, rather than, hey, I'm going to cast this Steel Enchantment and take your Ristic Study. And then now you've maybe caused some sort of an issue there with this person. Yeah. And it's like, now they're kind of like, well, I could have done something if I had a Ristic Study. So I thought that was like, I think that this card is just, it's really, really good. I feel like just being able to come down and basically turn into any enchantment that's on the field. We were talking that one day, but like, the enchantments right now that are there, like there's few of them, but all of the ones that pop up, they're so relevant. They're so good right now.
Right.
Everything, whether it's something like a Survival of the Fittest, it's a Ristic Study, Mystic Remora, even copying potentially like a Steel Enchantment, or like just something like Smothering Tides, like all these really, really, really impactful enchantments. So I think just having the ability to either copy or basically like take someone else's, potentially depending on what you're copying, I think that's just it's so good right now.
Right. Now, I really like the Imposter Mech.
Oh yeah.
Here. Like being able to like slam it down and copy a Bowmaster, and then you basically have a Bowmaster that can't be killed.
Oh yeah.
Like it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a really strong counter in our meta right now. So I like that he included that here.
Yeah, you talked me into adding this into my list, and I mean it's been super relevant, so I definitely think it's cool to see here. Let me go back to the regular deck list just so we can kind of slide through and look at some things. But yeah, I mean, other than that, everything else in the list is the same as the last one. But same thing, it's just kind of blue farm. It's what we've come to know. It's really, really cool.
And they're on an offer as well.
Yep,
I saw that. So, all right. Congratulations to Zach. All right. In 12th place, we have Dylan Smith with 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws on Thrasios Yoshimaru.
Oh, yeah. I like the name. Friends Forever.
Oh.
Heck yeah. No, this list is dope too, man. And the very first card, you have that Apparent Oculus, just manifesting dread, making your guy's cradle just so much better. Biomancer's Familiar, making Thrasios just so much better. It looks like we're on the Displacer Kitten with Teferi. I was talking to Fizzle whenever he was talking about his Atraxa list, and like if you have something like Displacer Kitten with a Bright Glass Gear Hulk, it allows you to basically just go get all your mana positive rocks, and then every time you cast one, flicker, go get more, and then that basically gives you access to all the rocks in the deck, and then potentially like just from there, I mean that's going to be so much value accrual.
Right.
But yeah.
This is definitely a list we've seen popping up a ton,
Mhm.
you know, and I like seeing it here. I like what you're talking about as far as the bright glass gear Hulk lines, being able to continue to manifest things,
Mhm.
seeing things like Derevi and Emil. Me being a Sisei player and then even also wanting to play Derevi at some
Mhm.
point, like I think that line is just really good. Um, I obviously the inclusion up here, like if you scroll up, having Teferi there in the 99 to actually be able to combo off with the displacer kit, and I also think is a really clean line because the only way you
Yes.
could truly interrupt it is like Otawara channel type abilities.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that's really good. I'm looking here at these sorceries. You know, we see all the really good green creature tutors plus that war gate and yeah.
Oh yeah. Instances look good. They look. It honestly looks like most of their instances are just like they look a little low on the instance count. Actually, that's kind of crazy. Only 15.
Yeah, but
1, 2, 3.
I think that kind of makes sense. Like you even kind of see that within the Rog Thras deck.
Yeah.
Like I think that these decks are kind of like two sides of the same coin
Yeah.
in a way, where you kind of sacrifice the white in going to Rog Thras for like more speed.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you go for a little bit more protection on what you're trying to do with the white.
Yeah.
But in both those decks, you don't have like a super interactive pieces. You're just continuing to grind out and try to get as much value as you can off of your creatures
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So
Yep.
that makes sense to me here.
Yep. They're on the birthing pod, expedition map, which seems right. Everything else seems pretty good. Lots of good enchantments. The Swift reconfiguration for the Devoted Druid, Wild Growth, Utopia Sprawl. They're on the Nature's Chosen. I love this card. This card is so cracked and set this dude.
Oh
I
my
love this card.
gosh.
It's good.
It's just a good card.
I just love this card. Yeah. Crypto right. This card's so good. I just love it. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, hell yeah. But yeah, dude. Now this list is sick. I like this. Anything else you want to say about this list?
I'm looking. Hold up.
I'll go.
Am I seeing Kennen? Huh. I think that's interesting that I'm not seeing Kennen on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they're trying to lean more heavily into like finale type stuff.
Yeah.
At times, and then
no Kennen equals no Basalt.
Well, I'm not even looking for that. Like I'm looking to see like they have pieces like like the Smothering Tithe, the Fairy Mastermind, being able to, and I guess you could still do it by generating infinite mana through the Boral Breeze color type lines and Derevi and stuff like that. So maybe you don't have to have Kennen here, but where some of these like Bant lists have started going towards that win line of Fairy Mastermind, Kennen, and Smothering Tide to be able to like draw everyone out at instant speed. Which I mean, it's a good thing they have the Valley Flood Caller here and the Green Sun to kind of be able to continue to cast it to refill your deck here. I'm not seeing Endurance, but I was just kind of looking for that line real quick.
Yeah,
is all on that one.
All good. Anything else though that you want to add to it?
No, I'm good. I think it's a sweet list.
Heck yeah.
All right. In 11th place, we have Chris Spalding with a record of 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws on Malcolm Vile Smasher.
Oh yeah. Dude, I did actually get to see this list played, and it was pretty fun. It was really cool. They were having to they were politicking really well, and they were trying their best to pull off that Glinthorn Buccaneer combo with Malcolm, which those of you that don't know what Malcolm does, so Malcolm has flying, and whenever one or more pirates you control deal damage to your opponent, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage, and then Vile Smasher's basically just there for the colors, but it combos with Glinthorn Buccaneer, which has haste. Discard a card, or whenever you discard a card, Glinthorn Buccaneer deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then 1 in a red, discard a card, draw a card, activate this ability only if Glinthorn Buccaneer is attacking. It has haste, so you can move to combat, swing, and then start putting activations of the Glinthorn Buccaneer ability on the stack. It'll deal a damage, and then Malcolm's going to make you treasures. So just wanted to go over that real quick in case anybody didn't know what that did. But no, this list is super sick. It's kind of like the last time I was talking to you, whenever we were doing our top 10 video, I was kind of saying that I don't understand like what drives people to play this version of a Grixis deck, and then I was saying like, oh, like Glinthorn plus Malcolm, like if everybody's life totals are messed up, you're probably not going to be able to finish the combo. And then you started saying, well, you're going to have things like Mayhem Devil and Bowmaster and other stuff like that. So you did make some good points, and clearly that's the case.
That's what they're doing here. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about.
Sometimes, yeah.
But yeah, for what we've come to know from Grixis lists, like this is definitely a list that, I mean, you could go fast if you want to, but it seems like it does better whenever it's able to like push into the mid game for sure. Like it doesn't feel like it just falls apart, and you still play a lot of really good value pieces, even if you're not going, Ricky Bobby fast.
Yeah. Dude, this is one thing that I do want to say. This is really cool. I did see the Braids Arisen Nightmare actually come up during one of the games in the tournament. He decided that he was going to sack a land.
Yeah.
And nobody else wanted to sack their land, so he literally got 3 cards off of the land sack, and I was like, that is great. But he sacked I think it was a City of Traders, because it was going to get sacked anyway.
Yeah.
And just sacked it, and then drew 3 cards, and
That's awesome.
I immediately commented, I said City of Traders greater than Ancestral Recall. But, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was just really dope. I thought that was cool. Just to see Braids actually like come up, I thought that was dope.
Yeah. And actually be probably relevant at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, this list is cool. Like, we're really big on the interactive package here.
Oh yeah.
Like even going to the extent of running, I think Blue Elemental Blast in here.
Oh, there
right
we go.
there.
Yeah.
That's a card I personally hate, but I got blown out by it in a tournament, so that's the only reason I hate it. So I hope it did well for them here. But yeah, like huge interaction and counter package within this. I think that's something that we've come to see from these Grixis piles. Like even with Rogsai going as fast as it can, it does still run a lot of like interaction just to kind of protect itself.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing anything in the other than that just like really stands out to me.
No, everything else just seems good.
So I mean, I guess like something like Magma Quake, like if you're making that much mana, you just like deal damage and kind of wipe the board that way with it. What are you looking at here?
The Leyline of Transformation, which if it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. When it enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control, the chosen type, or that type in addition to their other types, which is dope because you can basically make all your creatures pirates.
Yeah,
which will trigger Malcolm even more. That's dope. I like that. That's a really neat include. But yeah, I mean, other than that, this list is sick. This is really, really, really dope.
That's cool. So,
anything else you want to say about the list? Then
I got nothing. Congratulations to Chris on your 11th place finish.
Heck yeah, dude.
All right, in 10th place we have Jonathan Vick with 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws on Rogthras.
Hell yeah! And then, if you want, pause. Read this description. This is pretty. This is cool, dude. Heck yeah. You want to dive into the list? Or are you reading them?
I was reading a little bit of the description there. I got sidetracked. All right, so let's kind of look at this. Wow. Okay. This is different.
Yeah, I noticed. I just kind of was like skimming the description because obviously I didn't want to sit there and read it, and then people would be like, "Oh." But it says I've deviated far from the OG polymorph version that Sam Black Bouncy House list. So it looks like he's got lots of like trying to get value, chaining spells, doing all sorts of stuff. So this is very neat.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking over it real quick because there's a lot of pieces. Like even in the creature package, you don't typically see within the Rogthras build. So like I'm looking at this Charming Scoundrel. I don't know if all lists are on the Peregrine Drake or not, but that's an interesting include. I fucking love Vexing Shusher. I love this card from flubs and whatnot. This card is amazing. You can tell me I'm wrong, but I don't change my mind on it. I love that fucking card. I think seeing Vivi here in the 99, like almost being able to utilize that as like an additional finisher.
Yeah.
Like you just like continue to storm off and like ping the table and shit. Like Giralf, like having that in the 99 here, like that's interesting, but I guess it kind of adds to like the creature count, so that way you're really making sure you're enabling like the Gaia's Cradle and things like that. Um, I'm kind of what is the otter that has offspring? The Thunder Trap
Oh, the
trainer.
Thundertrap trainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's in most lists. It's not in this one, just
Yeah.
as a additional way to dig. They've, if we scroll down just a little bit into the sorceries, they've added another like way of making tokens with Empty the Warrens.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to give Joel credit on this one, so I'm not. I'm gonna give this person credit on it, but they're on hidden strings here. So, yeah, this is a card that someone in our local meta has been really hyped on, and I'm just like, it's not that good. Well, apparently, I'm gonna eat my words on this one. I know he's gonna let me know later in the week, but so this actually, what it does is you can cast it, you're able to untap or tap permanents, but then it has ciphers. So you basically put this sorcery on one of your creatures and you exile the spell, and whatever that creature deals damage, you are able, or combat damage, you're able to make a copy of the spell and continue untapping things or tapping things down. I just hate to see it here because I know he's gonna give me massive shit later for it. Looking at the instances, it's like I said earlier on the Thrasio Shimaru list, you don't see a lot of like super heavy interaction pieces. You see like the core stuff and like some of your free stuff, but that's really about it. I like the dramatic reversal here, just being able to like, oh, I need to keep going, or I need to like somehow do something on top of everyone else's turn, untap all my stuff, and then be able to do what you need to. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. They're not even on Force of Negation. They're just on Fierce Force of Will, Flusterstorm, Mindbreak Trap, and that's literally it. That's their counter package.
But what I think it's doing is that this list seems to have a better mix of red into it, which you don't see commonly in some of the other Rogthrast builds.
Yes.
And so that's probably why they only have one spell here where it's like pitch a blue and be able to cast that. And I think that makes sense. I even do that in Sisay right now. Now, I didn't see it up here. They're still on the Candelabra, but they're not on the Magus of the Candelabra. But yeah. I could definitely tell this is a list that's like just trying to go a lot faster. Oh, I didn't even notice the Saheeli.
You didn't notice the Saheeli?
I didn't notice the Saheeli.
I figured you would love that.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's actually pretty badass. Like being able to resolve that and then continuing to like cast a bunch of shit and then like you make more creature tokens to fuel the Gaia's Cradle. Yeah, I didn't think about that one. That's on me.
This list is just badass, dude. There's so many, dude. It's so cool because we're seeing people brew so many just badass lists now that like, I don't know. Like I'm really enjoying where cEDH is at right now.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing so much unique stuff pop up that it literally just kind of feels like we're wide open. And some people are not fans of that because they want to have like a more defined meta so they can really know what to play and kind of hone in, like work on like metagaming like for those decks that they're going to see. But stuff like this is just so fucking sick. Like I love seeing so many different decks pop up. This is badass. And it's cool to see that it's not only just Rogthrast, but it's a completely different version of Rogthrast than like what we're used to seeing. So it's just super badass.
Yeah, I like it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Jonathan on 10th place.
Oh yeah.
All right, in 9th place we have Temujin, and I'm gonna butcher it, but we're from Kentucky. Just tell us we're wrong. Move on. Horsey. Horsey.
It's probably like Horsey.
It's probably Horsey.
Yeah, but he's
Fuck it. We're from the South. They expect this. So, with a record of 2 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws, we are on another Rogthrast list.
Hell yeah. Now, I am going to compare this just to see how it looks to the previous one that we just covered. Oh, brother. 34 cards different.
Holy fuck.
I know. Holy shit. Yeah, that really was a massive difference.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. A 34 card difference here. But I think that makes sense because even though you're looking at it in that view, I'm looking at it in this one. This is like the much more traditional Rogthrast list that we've come to expect. And again, this is more focused on like the Simic heavy synergies than like going a little bit heavier into the red for like a more explosive approach.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I do find interesting, this version of the list is not on Kennen.
You are correct. This version of the list is not on Kennen.
Yep.
That is kind of interesting, but maybe it's kind of one of those things too where like these decks make so much mana, it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
And whenever you're playing, like say if you got in a spot where you needed a Kennen for some reason, like if you look in their creature package, they're playing Clever Impersonator, Flesh Duplicate, Mockingbird, Phantasmal Image, Phyrexian Metamorph. Like they are doing enough copy effect type things that I almost don't even feel like it matters, but it kind of makes sense because like you're not on like you're on a decent artifact package from what I'm looking at, like so you can make use out of that. And then if you go back up towards the creatures, like you're on birds, but that's really it.
Yeah, you like know, enduring, but
enduring and being able to turn those on. But I feel like if you were on like how like a Kennen build is, where you're higher on the rocks and on the dorks and things like that, it makes sense that you're trying to go into that plan. That's not what it looks like here. It looks like he's just trying to maybe even be a little bit more control-y.
Yeah,
at times is what I'm looking at there, and just being able to continue to like accrue value through like Thrasios and things like that.
Yeah, much more interaction in this version of the deck.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Typical stuff like you're saying, like this town ain't big enough. Stuff like that. Veil of Summer. Oh, they're on the Louis Suave.
Lusix. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. And Temujin's he's been placing really well with this list anyway. So but yeah. So I have nothing else. We kind of see that again, more standardized Rogthras list that we've been seeing pop up here recently. So congratulations to Temujin on 9th place.
You didn't want to try that last name again?
No, good. All right. So in 8th place, we have Anthony Warren with 3 wins, 3 losses, 0 draws on Xyrix, the Breathing Storm.
Dude, I'm seeing more and more people play Xyrix, which is cool, but this fucking card is just so dope. For people that don't know, whenever an opponent draws a card, except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Whenever Xyrix deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. So this card is just so funny, dude. Fizzle was actually showing me a list that he threw together with this.
Really?
I'm sending it to you. But
I think I do remember you sending me out.
Yeah, he was on he was adding in like all kinds of crazy stuff like Force Fruition. But this card just allows like so many silly shenanigans. And I feel like this is one of those cards where it kind of does make politicking a little bit wonky, because I could see how it would take forever to get 3 players arguing over who wants to get punched in the face by a Xyrix. He's like, hit me. Oh yeah. They're on Perforos, which seems right with the Xyrix.
Yeah, just because you're utilizing them together in order to like take advantage of the Perforos ETB and like and then like I'm assuming that Fairy Mastermind is some kind of combo piece within this to like continue to force your opponents to like draw cards, so that way you're getting the Perforos like the ETB triggers or from that.
Choosing to go like Roaming Throne just to take more advantage of the Xyrix, I'm assuming.
So I think this is interesting. If you look at the sorceries,
yes,
look how many will effects they are actually running in this. So Echo of Eons, Windfall, Winds of Change, Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune. They are going heavy into that Xyrix plan of like trying to force your opponents to draw just a fuck ton of cards and then get all those triggers and probably tell everyone to fuck off in the process. So I think that's cool.
Hell yeah.
You have You have Goblin Bombardment there. Like I know I'm kind of going a little bit ahead, but like
No,
you
you're
have
good.
Goblin Bombardment there and the enchantments to like double up on like the Perforos type
Yeah.
effect and be able to like burn your opponents out that way too. Just take advantage of the creature tokens you're making.
They're on Earthcraft, which is really cool. You can use all your snakes almost like mana dorks.
Yeah,
Which
like
is really
right away
sick.
and just
Yeah. They're on the Mirror Maid, which I love to see. Mystic Remora, typical like your good just enchantments. This is fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
This is cool.
If you go up to the artifacts, they're on Lightning Greaves, just I guess protect all of your stuff, and they're on Skull Clamp too, which I think makes sense here. So I think both those pieces are really cool.
Hell yeah, they're on the Phyrexian Altar too, just to take advantage again, like some of the snakes to sack and start making some mana. This is a really cool list. Holy shit,
yeah.
this is dope. I do think it's interesting. They're running a basic mountain, but I guess if they're trying to do some, like if they're needing access to the red mana, I guess that definitely makes sense. I guess I'm not used to seeing that because like most of the time if you get hit with like people are running basics to avoid like Blood Moon type of effects, but it makes sense like you're trying to generate a lot of red mana or blue mana, so that's really cool. But yeah, that's sick, dude. This list is
That's
funny.
cool. It's cool to see something like this and the placing in the top.
Hell yeah. Anything else you want to add to
No,
it?
I got nothing. Congrats to Anthony on 8th place.
Hell yeah.
All right. In 7th place, we have Bryant Wicks with 3 wins, 3 losses, 0 draws on Rowan, Scion of War.
Hell yeah. Dude, this list also went insane during the tournament. Like, everybody was just bragging so hard on Rakdos. Like, it was fucking sick, dude. I'm trying to find the card that they cast. Oh, where's it at? Yeah, okay, Past in Flames. This card, so each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost, and then it itself has flashback. Dude, this card came in clutch in one of the games when he was on stream because he was trying to do like the Professor Onyx combo, just to like basically loop through spells and like try to burn everybody out. And he cast the Past in Flames, and then eventually got stopped, and then had to flash back to Past in Flames to try to keep going. It was fucking nuts watching this thing combo off, but it was absolutely sick. And nobody obviously wanted to be like, yeah, you got us, but he fucking got there.
Yeah.
And it was sick. It was so badass to watch.
So for those of you that might not be necessarily aware of what Rowan does, so we're in Rakdos for 3 mana. It's a 4/2 human wizard with menace, and she has the ability to tap. Spells you cast this turn are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So like trying to kind of hurt yourself in the process, but reducing all your spells to be able to ensure that you can kind of almost like this Rakdos like Stormy type thing is what I think it's trying to do.
Yes.
And again, this is a list that I'm not too familiar with. You were just talking about how you watched it happen in person. So, just me kind of looking at it like for face value, like I'm seeing the Dualcaster, the Hoarding Bird Lord type stuff. So we're, being able to like go infinite creature tokens, having things in here like Crick, being able like I guess if you wanted to you could like shoot yourself with the Bowmaster, like being able to take advantage of and the Treason Ogre, like taking advantage of those pieces in order to like ensure that whatever you are going to cast gets like really reduced. So I think that's cool. Seeing Valky here seems really interesting, but I know that even with the Mind Sculptors, Cal has mentioned this card a couple of times. So sounds like it's trying to do like some really cool stuff with that. You had the Pinnacle Monk there, which I'm sure that sometimes that just kind of is like comes into play as a land, but you're hurting yourself. So that way you're adding to that count to like be able to tap her and then reduce everything. This is cool. This is a list like we've talked about it before in the past. Like this seems to be a list that is either like in the European meta or over in like the Asian meta and like things like that. Like I don't know, but either way, like this is a list that we haven't seen a whole lot here in like the American meta, so it's interesting to see it performing really well.
I think lists like this benefit the most from people just absolutely having no idea what you're doing.
Right.
This is still like you have to know how to pilot it. This list is badass. I want to say I think the way they got the win was with Fury Storm. Don't hold me to that, and if I mean correct me if I messed that up, but I believe what happened was they cast the Fury Storm, and then when you cast it, copy it for each time you cast your commander. And so basically what they did was they had the copies target the original Fury Storm. It would resolve, and it would just kind of it would repeat itself over and over and over and over and over, and then they just burn the whole table out with or drain them with the Professor Onyx and stuff like that. So I mean, the deck is just super cool. It's like I said, it's one of those lists where you're going to benefit from knowing what you're doing with the list. The one thing I do think is really interesting, not a single enchantment in this list.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're trying to storm off and continue going through your deck in a way where it's just like you're able to like continue like getting card advantage through the spells you're trying to cast or tutor or whatever it is, like what else do you really need?
I just figured like an Underworld Breach or something like that, but
I mean, definitely, like, yeah, I could definitely see like a potential for the Breach line. Like, if they wanted to include that here, I don't think they're on. Yeah, I mean, no LED, anything like that. So I mean,
but I mean, this list is not going to have a hard time making mana. Rowan herself is going to reduce the cost of stuff. So I mean, yeah. So this list is just super sick. It was just something that I noticed, but I mean, it's just a badass list. I just thought it was really cool, and getting to watch it, it was really cool getting to see it in action. Yeah, you have anything else you want to add to it?
Nope, ain't got anything else. So congratulations to Bryant for 7th place finish.
Hell yeah.
All right, so in 6th place we have Jacob L again with 3 wins, 1 losses, and 2 draws on this Kalia the Vast list. We have the last 3 times, now this being the 3rd time, but the last 2 times we have covered things. He has popped up, whether that be at the Land Go event or he was actually on my list whenever we took the 10 random decks and we kind of talked about it. And this dude is fucking shit up. Yeah. Apparently,
dude, when it went into Top Cut, I believe he was 2nd overall out of everybody. Like, the dude is fucking good with Kalia.
That's awesome. Yeah, like, you know, and we've talked about it a couple times. Like, you know, this is a commander that is like the early days of the format, whenever they started like printing things for Commander and the original Commander decks, like this is one of the very first things like people think of. Yeah, I feel like with this like whole like idea of the Dragon, Demon, Angel, like tribal type stuff, but that's not what he's doing here. So you know, we've talked about it before, where he is playing like, you know, if he is trying to make use of the Kalia ability, he's playing the value pieces of doing like the Villas and the Razaketh, the Hoarding Broodlord, the Ancient Copper Dragon, things like that, in order to like really like cheat those things into play, but then being able to more so focus on lines like the dual caster stuff. I feel like you have a bunch of different silence effects within this, between like the where is it, the Grand Abolisher, the Flame Scroll Celebrant, the Ranger Captain. Am I missing one? Do I see the Voice of Victory is in there? I don't see. No, I already listed the Grand Abolisher. I forgot he uses that art on there. But like, we just got this really cool Mardu list going on.
Yeah, I did see, even today I saw like in the Discord where he was talking about trying out the Taru, which I thought was cool too. So I'm curious I'd like to chat with him, just see like how that's actually coming up. So that's dope. Hell yeah. This is just badass, dude. He's really fucking good with this list too. It's like he just continues to pop up, and I'm sure we're going to continue to see him pop up.
We will, yeah. I think we're gonna see him pop up. I think it's only a matter of time. I think that if he continues to place as well as he has been, like, we'll probably see him take first at an event. Absolutely. Especially since I think you said the other day this is like Mardu summer again, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Now everybody's saying after. Well, I won't spoil anything.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything. All right. Congrats, dude, on 6th place finish there.
Oh yeah.
All right, in 5th place we have Kevin. I don't have a last name here, so sorry about that. But with 3 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws, Kevin was piloting Chatterfang here. Yeah. So that's neat. That's interesting.
This is just, it's so funny, dude. We were just, when we were doing our video, we were talking about like 2 color decks. Chatterfang was the one that was like converting the best, and I just think that it's kind of hard to deny the deck whenever it's doing that good in the tournament that big. But
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I don't have anything to say on that part of it. It's like apparently this is going to be, I think, our best like Golgari commander that we have in the format right now, and it's cool to see it actually topping an event. But for those of you that might not be aware of what Chatterfang does, for 3 we have a 3/3 squirrel warlock, or no, warrior. I fucked that one up. That has forest walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many +1/+1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead, and then you can pay a black into it, and that's what makes it the Golgari color combination. Sacrifice X squirrels, target creature gets +X -X until end of the turn.
Hell yeah. No, it looks like you can tell they're going heavy into like making the squirrels, the Academy manufacturer, playing stuff like the Disciple of the Vault, Peregrine took.
Just kind of looking over the creature package, it looks like, obviously we're on like stuff like with the Warren Soul Trader, just being able to generate some loops with that, and in combination probably with the Academy manufacturer being able to do some artifact stuff. We have the Protean Hulk here, probably being able to have some kind of sack outlet to like it, like not just Warren Soul Trader, but being able to like sack it, get whatever pieces you need. Looking at things like the Disciple of the Vault, or let's see, what is it? Was it what's another sack outlet that we're looking at? This Ruthless Knave, like being able to continue to sacrifice things and make more tokens and so on and so on.
Oh, that's braids. Okay, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, sometimes reading the card doesn't explain the card.
Yeah, I was like, what?
But yeah, just being able to see pieces like that in your creature package, to where you can, like with Protean Hulk, be able to easily like acquire your combo pieces and get them out of the deck. With other like sack engines that we don't typically see, like here on the channel or within our meta, we have the person that like Sasha playing like Blood Pod, so we're used to seeing like Samwise, which obviously can't be ran in this list, but like used to those style effects, to where you're just kind of continuing this loop of sacrificing and accruing value and being able to either like drain your opponents or do something with that. So like some of these lines with your sack outlets and things that you have, you should be able to like kind of do it almost at instant speed, to where like if you're able to like cheat things into play, like into someone's turn, like be able to sacrifice the Protean Hulk, get whatever pieces you need going into your turn, making like the infinite squirrels, and then like they won't be affected by summoning sickness, and just being able to swing out from there.
Fair enough.
Is what I'm thinking, kind of looking at that off the top of my head. Plus, I mean, they're running the finale too, just a like extra reassurance of like getting through. So congrats to Kevin on your 5th place finish there with Chatterfang. All right, so in 4th place, I don't have an actual name here, but we've talked about him before. We have Pigeon Eyes, level 7. Yet again, placing the top of an event, but this time we are on Atali, Primal Conqueror.
Yeah.
And the record here, before I forget, was 3 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw.
Yeah. Dude, this was, he was fun to watch. I'm not going to lie. I watched his top 16 game, and I have never seen somebody get so damn lucky in my life. I think I told you that. But he it's like turn 2 to Tali, and then literally flipped, I think it was like a Jessica's Will, and he flipped a Jessica's Will, and he flipped a Ranger Captain of Eos, cracked the Ranger Captain, and then with the Jessica's Will, exiled he made 6 mana exact, and then exiled the Dualcaster Mage, and then went Heat Shimmer Dualcaster Mage, protected under a silence effect, and just killed the table turbo like turn 2.
My
so
God.
Sick.
There is a lot of stupid things that you can do with this deck. And I mean, this is a deck that I think a lot of people have been on. I know Ian's like still really hyped on this deck. Like it's I've played it before. I love it. I just haven't played it in a long time. I think what'd you say the other day? Because of this deck, basically, instead of it being Bardu Summer, it's Hot Gruul Summer.
Hot Gruul Summer.
Which is almost fitting, because we're seeing like a lot of Gruul splash something in this top 16 here. But yeah.
Atali is a 5-color deck, like disguised as a Gruul deck.
So if you're not really familiar with the Tali, you should be at this point. But for 7, you get a 7/7 with trample, and whenever ETBs, each player exiles the top cards of their library, and then like if they hit lands, they keep going until they hit a non-land like spell, and then the Tali player can basically like order however they want that and just like cast all those spells right then and there without paying their mana cost. It does have a backside, but oftentimes that's not really relevant, so I'm not going to go through and discuss this here. Like, but yeah, we're just seeing standard Atali stuff. We see dual caster there in the 99 because we're taking advantage of a lot of like just copy creature type effects. So that way, like with those effects, we're copying Atali and getting more Atali triggers until we just basically get down to whatever we need. Dual caster plus twin flame or molten duplication equals infinite dual casters. You already mentioned the like food chain, I think, there with Squee to make your infinite mana. You continue to sack Atali to it. It is a Gruul mill deck that you get to play the game for your opponents.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. No, this list is just fun as hell. So I was really, dude, it was badass watching him go off. It was super cool.
yeah. Now something that I do think is interesting, like if you go down and you look at the instances, like I'm sure that this is becoming kind of standard for most Atali players, but you're seeing a lot more like control-y type pieces with like the Braid, the Force of Vigor, the Emerald Charm, Nature's Claim, Natural Slate, like and Rending Volley, and I'm sure a lot of that stuff is there just to get around the Ristic studies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to. This deck feeds Ristic like hell, so you have to.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, it's like super standard Tatali list, and it's been doing well. I'm glad to see Pigeon Eyes do well in a 4th place finish on this event.
Hot Girl Summer, baby.
Hot Girl Summer. All right, in 3rd place, we are going to continue Hot Girl Summer with Colin Bennett with a record of 3 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, and they are on Aranus, Gloomstalker, and Street Urchin.
Yes, same thing. I watched this deck get played, and it's badass. Like, I watched a lot of really good politicking out of Colin. There was one where he was playing against the Malcolm Vile list, and there was a situation where a Bowmaster was going to potentially like screw the Malcolm Vile player out of getting the win, and they were both on a drawing in, and the other 2 players were on the winning end, so they couldn't accept a draw.
Yeah.
And so he was able to kind of politic it and be like, hey, listen, like we can negotiate a draw here, because if I don't, so it was really good. But I think that eventually they ended up going into time, and I want to say I think that they both ended up making it in with the draw, but just this combination of things just allows you to politic almost like at another level, with the Ernest having like Death Touch, and then the Street Urchin being able to allow you to ping anything and it just basically dies.
Yeah.
Like it was just really fun to watch. Like I feel like I don't see stuff like that very often, so it was really, really badass to watch.
Right. Well, since this is one of the girl decks that does perform well, but I don't think a lot of people see this, let's kind of go through and read these cards real quick. So Aranus Gloomstalker for 3, it's a mono green commander. It's a 3/3 with Death Touch, and whenever it attacks, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield, but it has to choose a background, and that's what actually allows it to pair with whatever color that needs. So you pick the Street Urchin. That's a background, that's a legendary enchantment for 2. Commander creatures you own have pay 1, sacrifice another creature or an artifact. This creature deals 1 damage to any target. So what Blake was kind of going through and explaining there, the way that kind of combos is whenever you pay into the Street Urchin, like it gives the commander that ability to do that. And because the Aranus has Death Touch itself, it doesn't matter how big the creature is or whatever. As long as the Aranus is dealing that damage to whatever that target is, it will die because of the Death Touch.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a cool way, and like how you're saying, like being able to like politic your way through things and be able to remove pieces whenever you need to. Like that's just it has really good synergy there. I think it's really cool. Let's look at some of these like creatures. Like, so what I'm seeing like right away as far as like some important bits in this, it's like it's looking like it's trying to ramp a lot, and probably even as we get into like the later game, being able to use some of those dorks as fodder to the Street Urchin ability, and like being able to produce like a lot of mana. Like a main combo that I'm seeing in this is like the Kiki Jiki and the Conspicuous Snoop. I think is what it is. Like
Yeah.
where you're able to like make infinite tokens there.
Yeah.
So you have synergies with that. You have a Protean Hulk here where you could just pay one. If you resolve that, you pay 1 life, shoot it yourself, and then like get whatever pieces you need.
Yeah, I did see him even resolve like the Goblin Recruiter to go get the combo pieces that it needed and like stack them on the deck how they needed.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was cool. So like, yeah, just really, really badass list, dude. I'm so glad again, dude. We're seeing fucking cool lists pop up that like you're not used to seeing.
Yeah,
they're also on the Vexing Shusher, which I know you love.
Yes, I do. That has my heart. But they're also on the Druid of Purification, and that's a card that I don't like. So you don't have my heart on that one. Sorry, just because I have been at the tail end of like the table. Using it all against me. Fucking hate that card. That might be my Yuriko right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. So they have Hermit Druid here in the 99. Did you get the chance to see what they're doing to kind of combo with the Hermit Druid, or is
I did not. I never got to see that actually come up.
Okay,
but
that's interesting there. I'd like to hear more on that one just to kind of see how that plays out. But like it's I mean, this is a cool list. It looks like it's just trying to go fast and like control the table and do a bunch of shit that way. So that's neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure too, like if you're able to like make like pretty much near infinite mana, have near infinite creatures, like even if you couldn't swing out right then and there, like you pump it all into the straight urchin ability and you're able to just like shoot the table.
Oh yeah,
that way too. So like there's a lot of different things you could do with the stack.
There's another list on Lightning Greaves too, which is cool. But yeah, this is just dope.
All right, so congrats to Colin on his 3rd place finish. All right, in 2nd place we have Max Sternberg, Wounded Satellite, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Should know that because we're doing a cEDH channel and we should be more familiar with the names than what we are, but I just look at the name and go, say the name. But with 4 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, we have another Rogthras list in our top 16 here. Now he is another pilot of this that has been on this list for a while too.
Yeah.
And just kind of very quickly looking at it, especially since we've already covered like 2 of the Rogthras builds as is, it looks like it's very similar to the Temujin list, like very classic, like sticking to Simic with maybe a slight splash of red in there, just for some additional value type things. Yeah, you know, it's continuing to prove its worth. You know, being able to make a bunch of mana, make a bunch of creatures, probably doing like a finale thing here. I know that I think last time we talked about his list, or like where we've talked about Rogthras before, like sometimes people are on the loops with the gut shot and the lightning bolt and things like that. We're not seeing that here. I do think that is a good choice because you're just kind of eliminating a bunch of extra steps that can be interacted with at any point. So yeah, classic Rogthras.
Yep. Still sick list. I did watch him. The only time I think I got to watch him was in his finals pod, which he definitely knows the deck well. But yeah, so it was cool.
I do think it's interesting. He is also on the
I did notice
Lusix Sacrifice.
Lusix.
So seeing some new cards starting to pop up here and there within the format. So yeah, that's cool. Congratulations to Wounded Satellite for 2nd place there.
Congratulations.
All right, and for our 1st place, we have Jesse Jernigan with 4 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. And this one kind of surprised me whenever I saw this, but we are on TNT, Timna Thrasios.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It looks like Timna Thrasios. I do think that one thing that I found really cool was it's on like the Snapcaster Mage for like, you remember whenever we were talking about like the Gifts Ungiven lines and stuff like that?
I mean, that's the line I've been on here recently too. Yeah, I think it is kind of cool seeing that.
Yeah. Plus like Reanimate, and then you can go like Thassa Consult, stuff like that. So that's just dope.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it was actually really funny, dude. I mean, watching the finals pod of this, like, it was pretty smart. Like, he was getting attacked by an Atali, and he just decided, like, yeah, I'll fire off this Tainted Pack. Like, you know, it'll be fine. Like, And everybody was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that so Wounded had also just cast a Force of Will, so I think they felt like they were kind of in the clear. You're facing like one blue deck that just used a Force of Will and then 2 Gruul decks. So they just fired it off, literally went down into like their very last card, or like second to last card, picked up the card, and then whenever it got to their turn, drew for turn and just hard cast Thassa and was like, if you got it, you got it.
Those damn reverse Thoracle wins.
It was pretty funny to watch.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But no, I like you just said, this is pretty standard list. I do think it's interesting. I think Delny is a really interesting include just because like you can kind of take advantage of doubling up on some of your value engines, which can almost kind of push you into this like really dangerous territory. Like if you are running like the Archivist and the Fairy Mastermind, do I see Esper Sentinel?
Right there.
Yeah, there it is. Like on doubling down on some of those forced draw abilities and the Delny triggers, and like it's good in the like the early, mid, and even late game, but when you're trying to go for a win, especially like that, if you have pieces like that on board, it's not like silence protected or anything. It's just kind of like, let's make you draw a card and then you lose. Okay. Well, and obviously Tainted Pact kind of gets around that to some extent, but like, yeah, that I think is really cool to see that there. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything else that I kind of noticed. Yeah, just it looks like standard TNT list. We have like the Derevi and the Birthing Pod kind of included, which I think is like a recent pickup on these lists. Derevi not as much, but Birthing Pod seems to be. But it kind of makes sense. It kind of acts as another survival of the fittest type line where like if you have the Devoted Druid out, you sack it to Pod, you get Derevi out, you untap Pod, you sack Derevi to Pod, you get the Hazel's Brewmaster out, you're able to do the ETB effect, make infinite green mana, and then pump into things from there. So
yeah, no, just super cool, man. Super cool list.
Yeah,
it was just funny to watch too. So super cool win.
Hell yeah! So congrats to Jesse for winning Mortal Kraumbat.
Hell yeah!
Oh, yeah. A lot of like really good lists, like a lot of really unique and interesting lists within this. Like I'm kind of glad to actually not see like it being oversaturated by blue forms, and like yeah, there's quite a few Rogthras, but like there was a lot of again just the unique stuff kind of coming out of this, and we've talked about it before. Where right now in the meta, it's almost like you can kind of really put together anything that you truly want to and go out and do well.
Hell yeah. No, dude, I just think it's fun. I think that we're in a really, really cool spot right now in the meta. Like, there's a lot of stuff popping up. I feel like, so I think I heard Cal from Mind Sculptors say this, but like when Dockside and stuff was running around the format, it felt like it made deck building just kind of easy for people. Like, they were just like, we'll just do the Dockside thing, and then it turned into like whatever decks could do the Dockside thing, and then other ones just that couldn't.
Right.
Ended up not being able to function in the meta, but now like everything's just blown wide open, so you can really do whatever the fuck you want, honestly. But it's super cool, man. It's hot Gruul summer.
Hell yeah. Might make me put Natali back together and play it for next weekend. I don't know. Oh, man. But yeah, congrats to our top 16 here, and good job. Yeah. Good showing.
Yeah. And thanks for, my bad too, but yeah, thank you for Critical too, reaching out. And just, we didn't want to obviously cover the tournament without you guys like being okay with it, just because we figured y'all would go over it. But thanks for reaching out and like asking us to do that. That was super cool. So like, we were really happy to like go over the decks, go over the tournament. So thank you.
Yeah, and if you have not seen any of their content, go over to their channel too. And if you like what they're doing and you like what we're doing, subscribe to both and drop some comments and some likes. And as always,
go play some cEDH.
Casting cost cEDH says counterspells were made up by big magic in an attempt to stop Turbo. If you just jam, they can't hurt you.